Naruto has a lot of chakra, that's pretty obvious. It's probably the most defining aspect of his character and is generally what he's known for. But even with that being the case, a lot of people don't know that it wasn't always like that, at least not in the clear-cut way that we usually refer to it today. The different sizes of characters' chakra pool has been a widely debated topic. However, for today, I won't exactly be scaling anybody's chakra in particular, but more so analyzing the different revisions and inconsistencies surrounding what chakra is as a whole and how it functions within the series. I should preface that this is in no way an attack on the show, but rather a lighthearted critique about an aspect of my favorite series that I believe has certain issues. Y'all already know my stance on Naruto, so be reasonable. But before we begin, make sure to like this video and subscribe. We're almost at 10k. Now, as we said in the intro, Naruto is known for having a lot of chakra. However, this wasn't always the case in the beginning. And you might be saying, well, Cap, didn't Naruto make 1,000 shadow clones in the first chapter? Which the answer to that would be yes. However, that was not something that was attributed to Naruto having large amounts of chakra until later on in the series. In early Naruto, chakra was treated less as an inherent commodity and more of an asset that you develop with training, which is why when Iruka references Naruto making 1,000 shadow clones, he doesn't mention the quantity of chakra needed to perform the feat, but rather the skill it takes to make them flesh and blood, even likening it to the level of a Kage. Kakashi also references Naruto's feat against Mizuki and his use of shadow clones and makes no mention of any chakra dependencies, but rather the fact that Naruto just isn't strong enough to maintain the clones. Now, you could argue that strength could just be in reference to him not having enough chakra, implying that chakra is related to strength, but that still supports my argument that chakra was seen as more of an asset that you develop. This is further evidenced by Kakashi's reaction to Sasuke's fireball jutsu, where he notes that the jutsu is beyond the capacity of any novice due to their chakra not being developed enough. Any novice should also include Naruto, given that narratively he should be below Sasuke at this point, which sort of suggests that Naruto had less chakra than Sasuke, or at least was in the same ballpark. And to be clear, this isn't me saying that this is definitively the case, seeing as though we know that isn't true now, but this is the sort of vibe that chakra was given off around the time of those chapters being serialized. However, this confusion shouldn't have lasted long, as in the same arc we get our first standardization of the power system. With the reveal of Sakura's explanation about chakra, which is obviously used as an exposition tool by Kishimoto, the kinks in the chakra system seemingly gets ironed out into a streamlined fashion. The basic idea being that chakra is a product that doesn't naturally exist within the body. Chakra is characterized as an energy source that has to be created in a process called molding, where you combine the body's physical and spiritual energies derived from each of the 13 trillion cells in the body and the energy acquired through training and experience respectively. This then gets further developed by Ebisu, who officially introduces the concept of stamina that recontextualizes its earlier uses in the series. Instead of being an abstract label for the amount of juice you have until you fatigue, it becomes an actual part of the power system, where stamina is the name for the totality of the mental and physical energy in the body before it gets molded into chakra. And as the diagram shows, the healthy state of a ninja is with a full bar of stamina with no chakra within the body. This now adds context to Kakashi's statement that the tree climbing exercise is to help build stamina to complete your task once the chakra has been focused, essentially explaining that once you focus the chakra you've created, then you need stamina, which is the collective term for your spiritual and physical energy, so you can continue supplying chakra to whatever you're using it for and have enough of it to keep moving. The problem, however, is that even with this explanation, the series just can't seem to make up its mind on whether or not it wants chakra to be either one of the frameworks I established earlier. In chapter 18, Kakashi says that within Naruto and Sasuke, they harbor massive untapped reserves of chakra, which makes what was established in the first 17 chapters a lot more confusing, because which one is it? Is chakra something you have to develop as you grow stronger, or is it something that's already there and you have to tap into it? Or is it a mixture of both where developing your chakra actually means that you're just tapping into your chakra reserves? The way the series tries to explain this, even if there is no contradiction, is still just incredibly contrived, and at the very least wasn't given that much thought about how it should work on a technical level. And this problem persists for the entire series, and we never get an updated explanation. The series just uses whichever framework it wants and just expects you to forget about what it literally just explained. An example of this is during Naruto's training arc, where Jiraiya tells Naruto that the technique he's about to teach him, that being the summoning jutsu, required more chakra than what Naruto currently possessed, and as such needed the Nine Tails. But as we just explained, this doesn't work, since according to Sakura and Ibisu, chakra doesn't exist naturally in the body and has to be created. For what Jiraiya is saying here to make sense, Naruto would have had to have converted all of his stamina into chakra and have it sitting idly by while Jiraiya makes the assessment. And when he attempted to use the summoning jutsu, he should have immediately keeled over and died, since it's stated by Ibisu that chakra that gets converted but doesn't get used is wasted, and when you run out of stamina and chakra, you die. The most common rebuttal to this is that when they say chakra, they are referring to the mental and physical energies, and they use chakra interchangeable with them. However, that notion comes from the badly translated panel where Sakura refers to the energies as chakras. In the raw kanji, she just never says that and refers to them the proper way, that being the energies, and refers to chakra as singular. But even if she did actually say that, the argument is such a jerry-rigged excuse that it still would have been unsatisfying and still wouldn't be well written. Now, a lot of weird Naruto fans who can't accept criticism of the series are gonna go crazy, but in Shippuden, the way how chakra works was retconned, or at least its explanation is contrived to high heavens. As I said before, we were given the way how chakra works back in part 1, and we're never given another explanation, so we have to base all of the new information off of that. And it's not like the series was trying to distance itself from that explanation, since it references it when Naruto starts to learn about Sage Mode. Pa, in his explanation about Sage Chakra, reinforces the idea that regular ninjutsu chakra is created from mixing one's mental and physical energies. This would have been fine if they kept it like this, but as I'm gonna get into next, the series continues to do this on and off thing where chakra is simultaneously a reserve in the body, even though they say you can't store chakra, and is also not in the body and has to be created. The drawback for KCM is probably the most egregious example of this. Gyuki explains to Naruto that while in Bijou Chakra mode, the Nine Tails is siphoning away his chakra because he's temporarily shelving his own chakra in order to use the Nine Tails chakra, and if he drains his chakra to 0, then he dies. Now, you see where this doesn't make any sense? Based on the explanation that was given for how chakra works, Naruto should be just fine. Remember, chakra is a power that is created from mixing your physical and mental energies, and when at rest you don't have chakra in your body because it's not yet made. Kurama cannot siphon away something that isn't there. The threat of dying also isn't plausible since, as I just said, Naruto has to manually create chakra, so the only way Naruto would die is if Naruto for some reason eats his own brain and starts molding chakra like an idiot. The threat of dying also doesn't work since running out of chakra, per the series' words, does not kill you. To die from chakra exhaustion, it's stated that you have to expend both your stamina and your chakra, which means that either, as I said, Naruto is an idiot who is just molding chakra for Kurama to take, or some magical power is forcing his stamina to turn into chakra so that Kurama can siphon it away. And it's the same thing with people who die from chakra exhaustion, where you have to do apologetics and say, well, what they actually mean is that they turn all of their stamina into chakra, then exhaust it. Which again makes sense, but it feels like such a cop-out for something that would have essentially been a non-issue if it had at least been handled a bit better. The only aspect I think that was handled well is chakra absorption, except for one instance which I'll touch on in a bit. The first instance of chakra absorption we get is with Yoroi, who had the ability to absorb the chakra of another person through physical contact. But what makes this work in comparison to the other things I mentioned is that it specifically stated that Yoroi has the ability to consume the opponent's physical and mental energies. This extra bit of specification makes it so that the ability works within the confines of how the system was set up, and that we don't have to run into the problem of there just not being chakra in the body. I can excuse the use of chakra absorption instead of energy absorption since it already works functionally, and that would be an unnecessary nitpick. The Rittigan absorption ability also doesn't have many problems either. The Preta path is only really shown to absorb chakra that was pre-made, such as Naruto's Sage Chakra or the chakra that Kurama prepared for Naruto against Sasuke. I also don't remember any scene where it stated that someone with a Rittigan was gonna absorb all the chakra out of somebody's body and kill them, so it gets a pass there as well. The only instance of chakra absorption that causes problems is with the Gatri, where under the infinite Tsukuyomi, the people that are trapped are supposed to have all of their chakra drained and turned into white Zetsu. It's also stated in Boruto that the Otsutsuki plant a divine tree which sucks the chakra from all living things, killing all life on the planet. But as we've been hammering home, this doesn't work unless the God tree is either stimulating the process of converting stamina into chakra, or it just absorbs physical and mental energies. Both of these are likely scenarios, and if you posit that they could just be the case, I wouldn't argue against you. However, this wasn't stated, and as such makes this explanation at best unsatisfying, and at worst just contrived apologetics. The Boruto explanation also specified all life, so do trees and plants now have chakra? Do trees now have mental and physical energies? Like, what does this even mean? And I'm not even saying that it doesn't make sense, it's just a weird implication to presuppose. And the more that I think about it, these aren't even really retcons, since it's not even committing to the recontextualization. Even in chapter 665, chakra is still being referenced as a power that you gain from linking your mental and physical energies, even all the way back to the time of the Sage of Six Paths. Like, literally, just pick one or explain what's happening better. You can't explain that something works this way, repeatedly violate the rules that you set, then force the readers to have to make up excuses for what you say now to try and jerry-rig it into working with the past explanation. And the thing that gets me the most is that almost all of this could have been solved if you just swapped chakra with a vague term like energy. And you might say, well, they use it interchangeably, which if that's the case, fine, but they never tell us this. The term chakra is a very important and highly specific word that doesn't even have a kanji, since it's a word that's borrowed from Hindi. And Kishimoto doesn't even use the kanji for energy, which is key. He uses the katakana, which means you have to sound out every syllable. It's literally almost impossible to get these two words mixed up. But even if he was doing that, why would you make chakra the name for this highly specific thing, then go on to use it to describe 2, 3, 4 other things with no heads up? That is terrible exposition. Now, the last thing I want to touch on isn't really about chakra itself, but rather the fact that Kishimoto's quantifications for Naruto's chakra are questionable at best. We already know that Naruto has enough chakra to make 1,000 shadow clones, as he did it twice, once in the first chapter and another against Gaara. This is all fine and dandy until we're told by Kakashi that Naruto should have at least 4 times the amount of chakra that he has, which means that with just basic conversion, Kakashi should have around a quarter of Naruto's chakra. If Naruto was able to make 1,000 shadow clones, then Kakashi should be third. And this is even more ridiculous for the fact that Kakashi said that he can't use the shadow clone training trick since he doesn't have the chakra to do it, but even if you factor in the fact that he needs to have chakra to maintain the clones, you cannot convince me that someone who should be able to make 250 clones can't maintain even 10 shadow clones to train or to use in battle. You could argue that since his Sharingan is draining his chakra, he's just referring to himself without the Sharingan nerf, but this doesn't really make sense. Kakashi has had the Sharingan for longer than he's been without it, and the only frame of reference Naruto would have is with a Sharingan Kakashi. It would be very unlikely for Kakashi to be referencing a weird hypothetical no Sharingan version of himself when referencing training. Kakashi also tells Naruto to make clones for every leaf on a tree, with the average tree having around 50,000 to 200,000 leaves, which even for Naruto is a bit much. This also means that Kakashi can make anywhere from 12.5 thousand to 50,000 shadow clones as well, which again is a bit ridiculous. However, that one isn't really that bad since you can just explain it away by saying that he didn't make them all at once and just did it in batches. But with that being said, that's pretty much it for the video. I think I was fair in my criticisms for the most part. It wasn't anything too harsh, and I've said this multiple times. I love Chakra as a power system, and aside from the problems that I laid out in this video, I don't really have many other problems with it. But if you disagreed with anything that I said and have your own criticisms, let me know in the comment section down below. Anyways, catch y'all in the next one. Bye bye.